Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I'm Binu Anand at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulae for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge sharing community. We have one such industry titan on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Ms. Sandhya Manoj Kumar. She carries over 3 decades of versatile experience and an adept business leader who has navigated through various sectors, including corporate, nonprofit, and entrepreneurship, showcasing an unwavering commitment to excellence. Her extensive career trajectory encompasses impactful roles such as regional head of Monster.com, India head at Achieve Global, CEO at the Foundation for Excellence, and Executive Directors at Community Business, demonstrating her prowess in both profit and non-profit domains. Currently serving as the Executive Director for New Initiatives and Growth at Community Business Limited, she spearheads the organization's strategy in India. Her focus on driving growth, fostering team alignment, exploring new markets, and collaborating with nonprofit and government entities exemplifies her commitment to responsible and inclusive business practices. Welcome, Ms. Sandhya. And to start with, could you please let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Hi, Vinu. Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. You just said that, it's been a career of over 30 plus years and 3 decades. So I think it's been interesting because I didn't stick to one path at any particular point of time. The career was started with, sales, marketing, then did HR, having run my own business in terms of search and training. I'm a certified coach, and that led me to, actually delving into people, which I enjoy most. And then moved away after a span from, I think, 2012 to doing things more into giving back to society, having worked with, one of these venture capital firms and understood what the acquisitions was, then moved on to a not-for-profit segment, which is very close to my heart. And we worked first for education, and today part of a company which is focused, which is Asia focused, which is called Community Business. And I've had the privilege of being part of this team, a wonderful team, which is into diversity, equity, and inclusion, which I think is extremely required today across boards, across borders in the world today.
Wow, amazing journey. Amazing. Could you share an instance of spearheading a project leading to great outcomes as an example of your great leadership skills?
Okay, that's tricky, but I would say that over the years, there probably were many such incidents at different levels because in leadership, I think what matters most is people management and taking people along with you in anything that you think has the right outcome. So while there have been many such successes while being part of Monster, I think they were all very sales-led kind of roles that I played. So while targets were important, it was also important to keep the team motivated to understand why it's important. But one incident that stays out in my mind, I think, which was very different, was the fact that I was very involved in the last not-for-profit. I think for-profit, many people will have lots of wonderful things to share. But in a not-for-profit scenario, it becomes even more challenging. But it was for, providing scholarships for underprivileged students to pursue their education, higher studies. And I was the COO there and eventually became the CEO. But while I was the COO, I realized that they were looking at a mentoring program with somebody else. Coming from a coaching background, I realized that we could add a lot of value if we owned this in-house. So we actually ran and built a complete program end to end, where we used software. We took the help of people who were better equipped. I'm not a great software professional, but we asked people and designed something to say what could work, and used my own coaching experience to say how mentoring could be, something that people could use as a way to give back to society. It's not always a donation with a check and a signing off there that matters, but what matters is you actually feeling involved in the journey. So that particular program was fantastic because it allowed students to get mentored by executives in top companies, no matter where they were in India. And because it was all through, video conferencing kind of a, either it was Zoom or Teams or any medium that was possible. And the beauty was that we could track the engagement. So right from building the content of what it could be to ensuring that it's a 6-month engagement, it was a well thought out kind of a program. And I know that it's still a flagship that they are very proud of and they carry. And I was very thrilled that I could be a part of it and contribute to it in the manner that we visualized. And if I'm not mistaken, recently they won some awards. I think passion is something I carry no matter where you are in what kind of work. So one such project was this from a not-for-profit. But even I mentioned the VC firm that I was associated with as a consultant for some time in sort of bringing processes for their gastronomical acquisitions, which was Vasudev Adigas in Bangalore, which most people will know, and Moshe's in Mumbai. So in the NHRE conference, because of the processes, one of the process we ran was in terms of making sure that we had an opportunity for people with disability to get full-term employment in the outlets that they ran. So right from, looking at the strategy of how this would work to ensuring, and it takes a lot of time to actually videographing each of these people with their skills, making sure that they had the right kind of environment, and also sensitizing people in the shop floor already on the new entrants and how we could look at without giving them too many exceptions or making them feel like we're doing them a favor, but making them part of the mainstream was a very, very important lesson that I think, the management supported it completely. But I was, again, honored to be part of such an initiative because we ended up, I mean, I would say they ended up winning at that time the NHRD Best Initiative in the conference. So, and they shared this with Mindtree, none other than Mindtree. So, small steps, small initiatives can go a long way if you actually put your heart behind it and you really know that you want to achieve this kind of a success. It took us 6 months. It started with 25 people, but at the end of the conference, around the conference time, there were about 100 people that were recruited. And, they were getting equal pay, they were treated equally, they had to be, so there was no discrimination. And the beauty of that particular program was from people being outcasts from rural India in villages, which is, you just can't afford to feed so many people. These people, at the end of it, became the main breadwinners for their family. So to me, these were very overwhelming milestones in my career, and I'm actually blessed to have had such experiences to work with different kinds of people, different mentors at different times, different colleagues to bring in this kind of success, forward.
Wow, great. Thank you for sharing. Which of your roles and responsibilities do you cherish the most and why?
Again, that's a difficult question to answer, to be honest, simply because I think every role has prepared me for the next role. I don't think there's a particular role, that actually comes in with a super fit, right? And many times you're learning while you think you've got it all. You also are learning on the job because different roles come with different challenges. But I would say that I think I just love being a leader, because I think the leadership roles have allowed me to use my creativity and to work and to, I'm always been a people's person. So for me, working with people, getting the team along has been my core strength to what I ideate with or what we can ideate together. But I think I enjoy the fact that I'm able to bring people together, see what their needs are, and somehow put that in a format that works for everybody. And that happens when you are in the power to do that, or you have the authority to do those things. So I've enjoyed, I would say, right from every role had a unique kind of learning experience. When Monster first came into India as the regional manager South, we were leading in terms of sales, and Bangalore was really shining. Though it was just about a 2-year stint, I think the memories that you carry with you in every role paves you for the next role that you take up. If you're an entrepreneur, you learn it the hard way in terms of, you're not just doing your job anymore. You're also responsible for so many others who are dependent on you. You're also understanding the finances. And I think that taught me a lot about the P&L, the balance sheet, and how do you prepare for the next few months if you don't have a good crop, like they say for farmers, right? But for in business, if you don't get the business for the next few months, how are you supporting the team that's actually working for you? So I think entrepreneurship has been something that's really excited me a lot. And so post that, I think every role I've taken up as a leader has been with an entrepreneurial bent of mind, if I can say so, which is what translates into the role I do, because I don't differentiate it as me versus the company. It's me being the company. So what do I expect from this particular job? But yes, I think being in the leadership roles definitely has been exciting, has been adventurous, has been a lot of learning, and has given me that opportunity to deal with people, be it clients, be it colleagues, but because without people, I don't believe you can do a business. So, I've enjoyed being in these roles all through, especially in the last two decades or more.
Wow, I'm sure you're a true leader, taking everybody and your team along. So that's a true leadership quality that you carry. Perfect, ma'am. Good. Your service in non-government roles and participation in tasks to diversity and inclusion explain your ESG learnings. Our viewers would like to know more in detail about your development development of interest in corporate governance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very long question in one sense, because ESG is something that's absolutely required, essential. I think for every when you talk about corporate governance, every corporate will have a framework, right, in terms of how you want to operate, your policies, your procedures, and unless there's governance that you are aspiring to achieve or to be, you don't know what you're doing is right or wrong, or whether, that's actually being beneficial to who you think is your target audience. Therefore, from every aspect, for all of us to be more mindful about being nice to the planet, from an environmental sense, what is it that companies can do to save the environment, to sort of, how much can we reduce the carbon footprint? Does, when we talk about an average size of 10,000 employees or 5,000 employees in a corporate, if everybody is coming in a car, then, and you don't have parking, especially in cities are becoming smaller and smaller, because everybody's got, affordability has gone up. But how do we start looking at making this, taking small measures where it impacts the majority of people? Are we doing the right things in terms of waste disposal? Are we doing enough in terms of carpooling versus, public transportation? What are the measures that companies take when you take from an environment perspective? What are the measures that a company is taking from a social perspective, which is all about people? How inclusive are we? How are we looking at, people being a fit when we talk about a culture? What are we trying to do? My current role in which is into diversity, equity, and inclusion, propels all of this a lot more. We are talking about inclusive language, saying the right things. I think corporate governance, having a framework is so important because it allows corporates to sort of aspire to what is considered to be the best in the industry. And then you know whether you're quite there, where are you, and how do you go about it. What's also equally important for all of us to understand is, I think we're in a multi-generational workforce today, right? I mean, the younger generation are absolutely, they don't really, they're not as worried as we were when I was maybe in my 20s or 30s about keeping a job or getting a job. The generation today looks at all of these aspects, and they're much smarter and more tuned to what's happening in terms of the ESG goals that we are talking about today. They look for companies that are very diverse. They're looking at companies who are very inclusive, right, from their language and acceptance of people, behaviors, especially in a country like India, where we have different ethnicities, different cultures, different diets, different languages. I think it's so important that we understand frameworks and we are able to respect those frameworks from every aspect. And then we are able to actually translate that, not just to make your current workforce a happier place and your society overall a happier place to live in, but also to become what would I say, the way that the younger generation would aspire to join, the employer of choice, rather, for generations that would think of you as, oh my God, these people are the right organizations who are actually very, very tuned to all the ESG frameworks that are required. When we talk about women empowerment, we talk about, pay parity, we talk about inclusion for disability, we talk about inclusion for, LGBT plus. All of this falls under different kinds of, creating a society which is beyond judgments, and a society and a workforce which is actually there for each other. And I think the ESG framework is fantastic because governance is basically, if you do the first two steps right, we're talking about how can we save the environment, how are we all be contributing to it, how are we as a social perspective, when we're talking about people, how do we take them forward? And all of these is actually forming in your policies and framework. And today it's not just policies, but it's also data, that all organizations have so much data with them today. Data privacy is an important aspect. How are organizations, storing this data? How are they managing this data? How are they securing this data so that people don't feel misled by anything? So I think, obviously, at a particular level, corporate governance has encompasses many things, but these are some of the basics frameworks that people should be very absolutely adhered to in today's changing times.
Thank you so much for your inputs. Very valuable ones. So as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
I don't think I would call myself an expert, but I think it's something that we are striving to be all the time. I mean, ESG is nothing but what we plan to do in the workforce in an organization. But today we have a framework that we feel we need to adhere to, right? When we're talking about environment and we're talking about saving the environment, I mean, every little thing from, how are you looking at your waste disposal? How are you reducing paper, so that we don't cut more trees? How are we making sure that people can, come in groups so that there's not so much of carbon footprint by everybody using bigger vehicles? How are we making the roads much safer, commute much easier? From a people's perspective, I think how are they more, so when you say social, it's really all about people, right? How can we ensure that, they feel included, especially in my current job? I think the values are really about, are we being fair as an organization to people? Are we transparent? Do people feel comfortable sharing data with you? And as an organization, when I say you, I mean it's from an organization's perspective. Are they feeling restricted in bringing their whole selves to an organization? Are they, or do they doubt that it's going to be misused? What measures can organizations take to create that kind of comfort level? So I think at every level, it's the fundamental value is, are we respecting each other? Are we respectful of each other, irrespective of positions and what we are as human beings? And how are we able to advocate uh, to do good so that it's a sustainable, long-lasting change that generations to come can see and feel? Like, when we did the Save the Tiger movement, I mean, it became a big campaign, right? Because save forests, we've been privileged to see that. We don't want that to be extinct for maybe my grandkids, So I think if everything we think of beyond us and thinking of things that can be sustained, the entire ESG framework is done from, the governance is from that aspect, that how do you create a sustainable future, not for your just current workforce, but to everyone who aspires to become a part of your workforce, or for any future generations to sort of get into the culture of preserving, maintaining, and how sustainability is an important aspect of how we use and make our lives better for future generations to come. So I think that's the value I'd like to hold on to and stay with.
Thank you so much for your valuable inputs. What are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with the changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, and Web 3.0?
Okay. To be honest, in a not-for-profit sector that we work in, and we're very small, focused kind of sector that, in the sense that these changes will not impact you that much, as people talk about, it's here to replace my job. And you hear this all the time. AI will take over my jobs. But for me, I think technology per se has made our lives overall so much easier. I mean, today, we're able to do an interview, a focused interview with anybody, anywhere. We can have conversations because technology is so strong between Zooms and Google and, Teams and whatnot. We're able to talk to anybody, anywhere in the world, which at one point could have been so difficult. And I think what COVID taught us is that we didn't necessarily have to be face to face and be in the office, and we could still be as productive, So I think technology, if used correctly, is a great, great, great enhancement to all the work that a human being can do, especially if it is many repetitive tasks and multiple times that you need to do it. To me, personally, I would say that I think also what we saw in our work especially is that it really took away the rural urban divide during COVID times, and it encouraged social mobility, and therefore improving the socio-economic strata of people, because nobody asked, are you in the top 10 companies, or are you based, where are you located, and can you come into office at this particular hour and this particular day? As long as, can you do this job? Our focus shifted from who, where, and, are you, to can you produce this piece for us, and then therefore you have a job, right? And I think that was a huge shift that we saw in the recent years. Because of technology, people could be anywhere in any part of the world and still continue to do their job, which all of us could actually look at the positives only during a very unfortunate time for the whole world with a COVID awakening. But I think everything has a silver lining. And one of the silver linings here was that it taught us this social mobility. It spoke about how we didn't have to be restricted with the old ways of doing things, and we could be innovative. We could change the ways we work, we could change the way we approach things in life. And so to me, I think technology advancing is excellent because it's made our lives easy, not just from a work perspective, from a living perspective. Today, people sit in the comfort of their home and they get their groceries home. They get their food home. You don't, if you're late for a meeting, you're not worried about going back and saying, oh God, I got to cook. But you could order even home cooked meals. It's not necessarily from a restaurant. But one would never have known that if you didn't have technology at your doorstep or the up. And look at the way India's changed. Every vendor has a phone pay, a Google Pay. So even payment gateways have become so much simpler. And that's only because, it's because of technology. Artificial intelligence, I would say, used in the right way, could be absolutely, absolutely useful. To me, everything that people feel, afraid of is something to be explored. I think what we need to do is understand how we as human beings who are creating this, finally, we are the creators of this. So you're still at the upper hand. How are you staying a few steps ahead? How do you skill yourself to be there? How can we upskill ourselves to understand, learn, and keep learning? Because that can't change. Finally, you feed these programs to bring whatever that, the artificial, as you call it, is still artificial, right? It's a very intelligent machine, but you have worked on creating that, right? So I think the fear of what it could do to us should be mitigated with the positives that it can probably help in terms of enhancing the productivity for a workforce, and to be able to look at all those pleasures that could bring. So you stay focused, you stay creative, and you continue to learn, because it's not a fight with man versus machine. It is man using the machine to make yourself, more comfortable and to be, sort of more productive at the workplace.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. We are building a community of industry magnets. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. What are your thoughts about this initiative taken by Mr. Jishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
I think it's fantastic, because if I hadn't come across these kind of ads on, I think, Instagram, some of the social media that I was looking at, and I don't think I would have even understood the opportunity that exists for people like me to do more beyond my realm of space that I'm working in. What was good was the continuous follow-ups. What was good is the kind of material they share upfront, and make you a part of the team, and sort of tell you that every stage we're here, your back is covered by us, and we are there for you to be successful. So I'm still in the early stages of understanding a lot more about our association, but I think it's a wonderful initiative, because if they didn't take time to spend time to educate people on the opportunities available, as independent directors, just directors, board directors, and also take the effort to send you the material to work through this, I don't think it would be so easily accessible for people to take on the next step. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much for your kind and inspiring words. Great. It was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you, Ms. Sandhya, for joining us today. Wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their minds. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinu. My pleasure. It's been a very enjoyable experience talking to you today. And I do hope it inspires others like it's inspired me through this conversation today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.